Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and joining us one more Thursday here at the Lexit Talk from the Lexit Movement. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And I just want to say, if you don't know me yet, I'm Becky La Trompista, and you can find me on La Trompista everywhere. And I have here tonight my beautiful co-host, Marissa. She is the Puerto Rican Patriot. You can also follow her in all social media platforms. And we have a beautiful guest, amazing guest. And I want to make sure that Marissa is the one who presents her. And we're going to start off with this amazing night. How are you, Marissa?
I'm doing amazing, but can we just talk about our absolutely gorgeous guest, Amber Nicole? I mean, my goodness, this is Tito Ortiz's beautiful, intelligent wife. Thank you so much for coming on with us. It was when we heard that we were having you on, I like jumped up and down. I was clapping. I was so excited. So thank you again. We are so happy to have you.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I feel honored to be with you girls. So thank you.
Awesome.
I know it's nice, right? We get to have three beautiful, conservative, strong women tonight. And I wanted to talk to you. So, what we're going to talk about is your foundation, Tito, all things human trafficking. But first, I wanted to talk about the wall, which a lot of us right now, politically speaking, is a huge controversy, especially in Southern California. A lot of people, I guess, are mixed in regards to the wall. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about what the wall does for the protection of not only us as US citizens, but for the children?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people get really stuck on the word wall. Like we want to block people out, that we want to block children out, we want to block families that want to make their lives better. That's not what we're doing. If you come here legally, you go through the proper process, you bring your family, you want the American dream. We want that too. That's how we were made. That's how America has prospered and has become what it is. Frighteningly, the border being where it is today and having its weaknesses and having those open borders makes us a huge target for sex trafficking, a huge target for human trafficking, for drug trafficking, for so many things that people really just don't realize, or even if they realize, they don't want to admit. And we need to really dive into the facts instead of emotions. Let's cut the emotions out of it and really look at what the problem is and how we can save children. And that's my biggest point.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I want to add to that because we want to start off talking about the wall and all this controversy, even within our own Latino community, right? We are a society that is conditioned to listen the mainstream media say, oh, the Latino, the Hispanic. And we are not the ones crossing the border. There's more people crossing the border. We have people from Asia, from Europe, we have people from every background. It's not only Hispanics, and they always use the whole feeling part, the whole pobrecito, oh, I'm sorry, to kind of like tell the wall, say, oh, the wall is bad. This is bad. This is wrong. When at the end, the wall is saving lives. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, 100% it's saving lives. I mean, I know many Border Patrol agents. I know many special forces. It's terrifying the amount of danger that comes across our border, and no one wants to talk about it. We're getting illegal aliens, not just from Mexico. People get so stuck on the idea that we want to keep Mexicans out and these families out. It's not true. We are getting scary terrorist type individuals from all over the world using that weak border, and people don't want to admit it. I mean, you look at what's the movie, it was about the border, and I'm like trying to think of it. It was Solitas. I was like, it was such a good movie, but it really dove into real terrorists coming across the border and real terrorists just being able to, come and go as they please through our border because it's so weak, and people don't want to believe that that's a real thing, and that, oh, well, we want to close the border to families and to people that want to make their lives better. Absolutely not, because our entire United States is built on immigrants, and immigration needs to happen, and people need to come here to build a better life, but it needs to be done legally, and they need to be vetted, and they need to be checked, because we never know who these people are.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I think people villainize, is not realizing that there are more factors that come into just families crossing the border. And that's why I think it's so important that they're doing that. ICE has been separating to ensure the safety of not only, the children, but the families, and then us Americans as well, because technically we do not even know if they are legitimate families or have any relation at all. And so I wanted to ask you, since you do know border agents, and I was wondering if maybe you can give our viewers, from a border agent, from just things that you might have heard from their perspective, what it's like working on the border, things that they've seen, so that way we can realize this isn't a political issue, it's a humanitarian issue, and it's something that concerns all citizens, not just a specific race.
Absolutely. Well, and frighteningly enough, obviously, our news is never going to show the real places where these children are being held, and oh, they're in cages, and no, they're not. And they get schooling, and they get meals, and they get playgrounds, and they get activities. They're only going to show this raw, weird footage, and it's really from the Obama era. So if we can just set it there, but our border agents tell me all the time, like, we have stopped so many people and taken children from them, yes, but they can't prove they're a parent. They can't prove they're even a relative. So potentially they're saving these children from sex trafficking, from trafficking, from being smuggled. That's scary enough for you to think, you know what, maybe they're better off wherever they are, that they're getting square meals, they're getting education, and they're safe from whoever this stranger was trying to smuggle them across the border. But nobody wants to talk about that.
Yes. And for what we understand, and this is like real footage this time, we understand these kids have even better extra and intracurriculum programs than our own kids in our communities.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and they're getting a full curriculum. They're getting full schooling. I mean, they're in school. My kids are not even in school.
Exactly.
Kids are being monitored. They're being taken care of, and no one wants to talk about. They're getting medical care. They're getting, and they are trying to figure out where these children's families are, and they're trying to reunite them. I mean, I just watched a documentary where it's a tedious, long effort to actually find legitimate children, parents for these children. But yet, people are like, oh, just give them back to the people who brought them. Like, are you crazy? Like, no one knows who those people are. They could be potentially anyone.
Right, exactly. And we see so many people talking about Me Too and the Me Too movement.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we are seeing what happens when you negate a child or the child generation, because they don't have a voice.
No.
Nobody can speak for them.
But they're muddying up the word Me Too, and it's sadly being overused by women who are not in the Me Too movement. And just like child trafficking, people are like, oh, it's not real. Like, listen, there's a degree of reality in everything, obviously, but people are going to muddy it up, and they're going to use it, and they're going to, make it salacious, and they're going to make it fit their, their propaganda, or they're going to make it fit their, their agenda. But Me Too is real, but it should be used for women who have been forcibly put into trafficking, forcibly, because, like, I get messages all the time about my foundation, and people will go, oh, well, the kids that were saved were all prostitutes. And I gasp a little bit, and I'm like, no child chooses to be a prostitute, first and foremost. A child is groomed, a child is taught, a child is trafficked into prostitution. And for people to say, oh, well, they're a prostitute, and kind of throw them aside like they are rubbish, makes me angry. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, no one chooses that. Like, child trafficking is a real thing, and it's a legitimate thing, and no one wants to talk about it because, God forbid, the first president to put $130 million into fighting and combating human trafficking is just so happens to be Trump. And everyone's like, oh, well, we can't have, it has to be fake, and it has to be, this conspiracy theory. And I just read a thing with Vice, and they were like, oh, talk to your conspiracy theorist friends who talk about child trafficking. I'm like, how dare you pretend this is a conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
You can quite literally go on Google, which I don't prefer because Google is nonsense. But you can go on Google and you can get facts and you can get numbers, but you can go on DuckDuckGo and you can get even more numbers. And I mean, if you want to pretend like it's not happening, put your head in the hole that you've kept it in all that time. But people who care, this is not a Black, Latino, white, man, woman, gay, straight thing. Nothing. If you care about children and you are human and you love humans, you care. Like, end of the day, there is no line, there is no device. We need to stop being divisive and stop thinking emotionally. We need to think together. We need to be powerful together. And the more of us that stand together, the better we'll do.
Yeah, and once they are here, they become our issue. They become our human problem to solve because they're now here.
Yeah.
And we need to do something about it.
Well, scarily, down in a motorcycle right behind me. But so many people believe, oh, trafficking, is in Asia, and trafficking is in Mexico only, and trafficking is in Thailand. Absolutely not. The scariest thing is that America is the largest producer and distributor of child pornography. Wow. If that doesn't terrify everyone to keeping their children on lockdown, then I don't know what will. I mean, the amount of online predators right now is through the roof, and all of your children, guess what they're doing? They're online learning. And are we monitoring? Damn right I am. But
yes, I want to talk about
what
that.
Parents aren't.
I want to talk about that because I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. My daughter don't play anything online, but my son used to play some games on the phone. And I recently learned that they could chat within the app.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this.
Every single app.
And then I heard you talking about it. I'm like, wow, our followers need to listen to what you have to say when it comes to that point of these apps having chat rooms.
Well, even my boys' video games have chat rooms because my boys don't have social media. They don't have phones. They don't have iPads. They're not old enough to be able to rationalize or to take on the information that they can get from online presence. But so many parents are checked out when it comes to how many chat rooms there are. And I was just talking to somebody last night. I said, how young do you start when you're telling your child who's crying to go sit on Santa's lap? And you're teaching your child that I'm going to make you sit on a stranger's lap even if you don't want to.
Yes.
Listen, we have to stop doing that. And when people touch your child's hair or tell them they're so cute and they're very touchy and they're hugging them, and we shouldn't be allowing that activity because we're saying it's okay that a stranger is touching them and hugging them and being really close with them, because that's what these people do. This is what a predator does. A predator starts with soft touch near your parent. A predator starts with tickling in front of your parents. The child sees that their mom and dad see, they're like, oh, well, this is okay. It goes further than that, but they've already been desensitized to this predator because the parent is not paying attention. They're not there because you know what? We need to stop being nice. I'm sorry. Like, I don't allow strangers to just touch our kids. I don't allow strangers to just talk to our kids. You shouldn't. Like, you should make your child aware that no adult is their friend, and they shouldn't be speaking to anybody even over video games. I'm like, no, unless you go to school with them or you actually know them from us, you're not talking to them.
And a lot of the Our Rescue as well, they were saying how now it is a pedophile's playground.
Yes.
For because these children are at home and because
Yes.
of the lockdown, obviously they're using these devices a lot more. We need to be more present than ever. And I think you
Yes.
hit the nail on the head when it comes to parents. You need to be more aggressive
Yes.
about who comes around your children, what they are allowed to either touch or groom, soft groom
Yes.
your child. Because a lot of the times it's family members too
Yes.
that
Yes.
we realize that this happens to. It's the people who we quote unquote can trust. And so I'm glad that you brought up your foundation, because I'd like to kind of segue into what
Yeah.
your foundation is. And if you could just touch more on that, how you got involved and why you're so passionate about it.
Well, my involvement obviously starts with being a mom of 11-year-old twins. I've been Tito Ortiz's twins bonus mother since they were 4 years old.
Wow.
Just noticing the dangers of online, but we actually had a high school teacher that was an assistant teacher. He was 25. He started grooming one of my boys' little ex-girlfriends. And he was writing her little notes, and he was stepping on her foot every day before gym just to get her attention. And he would write her notes like his favorite color, which was always her favorite color, and his favorite name, which was her name, and just really like decisively trying to pick these little grooming tactics with her. And her mother found them and wrote, called me right away, and she was really upset. And I was like, you need to file charges, period. It's not okay. And we need to be vigilant. And that's what made me go, you know what? This is way bigger issue than it. That's my back door. That's my kid's school. This is like all in my face, and I need to do something about it. And then obviously, I think that if COVID taught me anything, it's to research, and I have plenty of time to do it now.
Yeah.
And I am like, if you are a parent, do the research. You need to be a helicopter parent. Listen, I thought helicopter parents were assholes. Like, I didn't want my mom all up in my business.
Right.
You need to be in your child's business. I don't care. Because right now, these predators are desperate. And that's why I started this foundation for awareness and prevention. Like a lot of, our rescue, for example, they are tactically able to go and make a difference. And they are dealing with the aftercare and the saving. I want to do preventative. I want to teach parents how to prevent this. I want to teach parents to teach their children what to look for in a grooming person and online dangers and online predators. What do we do? And I'm doing a seminar this month. It's my first one. I'm so excited, with an MMA, one of Tito's MMA coaches at the Gracie Bar Jiu-Jitsu. And I told him, I go, I want you to teach parents how to take someone down. Because if you're trying to take your child from someone who's trying to grab your child, that person's professional. They're going to get away with it. But if you take down the assailant, I don't care if you're a little bitty girl and you are like double legging this assailant and you're going after this person, you're going to save your child. Potentially, this will be a game changer. And we need to start telling people, if you see something, do something.
Yes.
Stop standing by making videos. What is your video going to do when that child is stolen? Great, you're going to give it to the cops. Fast enough, that child will be gone and you'll never see that child again. And that's what's terrifying. There's like people who go, oh, well, I made a video, or, oh, I filed a claim. You better do something. Like, if someone was trying to take a child in front of me, you're damn right. I'm like, I would whip off my heels and run after that crazy person.
You do whatever you can at that moment.
Yeah, because we're human. And guess this is not my children or her children. This is our children. And that's why I started Save Our Children Initiative. And now I have a foundation called the Social Foundation. And we're raising funds to do just that, to do these seminars of prevention and education and self-defense. Because first and foremost, I don't want someone have to deal with aftercare. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there, and there's our rescue, and I have some really great, military friends who go and do those tactical missions. It breaks my heart.
It must be hard.
It's an all life situation now. This child will always be dealing with this. This child will always have to live with that situation, and they will have to grow and become, into a normal livelihood. But scarily enough, people don't understand is that once a child is put into sex slavery and sex trafficking, most of them, even after being saved, will go right back, because that's all.
Wow.
Yes, it's like they mentally break them down. I'm sorry, Becky, go ahead.
all I want to say to add to what you're saying is it's a powerful movement. It's a powerful initiative because, like you said, there's so many groups out there to rescue them, but there's no groups trying to prevent it, right?
Yeah.
And prevention is key even when it comes to health and
Yeah.
everything else. And this has to do with, you know, the health, the mental health of these children and the physical health of these children, because many of them sometimes they get diseases and stuff from all these, you know,
Oh, yeah.
sex slavery. Now I will encourage you to start writing a book.
Yes. Oh, I know. I've got several books going. I lived in Vegas for 19 years. I was like, I need to write a book about Vegas.
Yes.
And then I'm ready to write a book about this. You know, if we can prevent just one child from being taken, that is a home run. And more people need to be active, need to love one another. There's no division in this. And, you know, Trump or anybody else, it's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's not conservative, it's not liberal. It's a human issue. And we need to
Yes.
stop making it divisive. Because at the end of the day, even when you vote, I tell people all the time, I'm like, vote on policy.
Yeah.
Stop voting on your feelings, vote on results, because there's a big difference. And when you look at the same thing with, you know, child trafficking, people are like, oh yeah, it doesn't happen here, or oh, I don't know anybody that it's ever happened to. Okay, you're gonna wait until you do? Like, do something now. Let's educate. I'm like, I would love to be the dare of my generation and be able to go into schools and teach children preventative measures and teach them about online grooming and teach them about teacher grooming, because no one's doing that. And you know what? They're totally fine with teaching my child overly sexual sex ed, and they're teaching them things that my child wouldn't even ask about. Okay, cool. If you're going to try to teach my child that, I'm going to teach my child how to ward off a predator.
Exactly.
Yes, I love what you just said, being the dare of this generation. I think that's revolutionary. I think that's absolutely needed in this day and age, because it's always easy to say that things don't exist until they come to your doorstep, or to a doorstep of one that you love. And you never want to be that statistic, or you never want to happen and you say, I should have listened. I should have been more sorry, I'm getting phone calls. Every time I do a live, people just love to call me. Never ceases. But I just think what I would like to actually ask you, because a lot of people during the hour rescue were learning about signs, and I feel like it was kind of those things where they learned about it, they got excited, but then they didn't continue the follow-up. Can you give some parents some examples or something to look at as far as grooming goes, of a child that is being trafficked, or signs of a trafficked child?
Oh yeah. Well, and scarily enough, a lot of children that are being trafficked by someone in their family, by their parents, and they're still going to school, they're still going to sports, and no one notices. But these are telltale signs that we need to start teaching teachers. We need to tell students. We need to tell our children, listen, if you see someone that has strange behavior, all of a sudden their hair is completely different, or they're emotionally like taken back. You know, a lot of these people are sick. I mean, they're giving brands and tattoos to 11-year-olds. And people are like, wow, you know, and the kid's like, oh yeah, well, my mom let me. No mom just lets you do that. I'm sorry. When you're 11 years old and you're a parent who cares about your kid, that's not normal. So people need to look for those sort of things. But even with the grooming and with the online dangers, pay attention. I don't care. Like, invade your child's privacy. Guess what? It's your child, and they will be living with you until they don't. And you should be on every single platform they're on, and you should be checking their direct messages, and you need to be engaged with your child, and you need to let them know that not everyone is their friend, and someone could potentially be pretending to be a young child and befriending them. So stop. Like, your child doesn't need privacy. I'm sorry. Like, my kids are 11 and I'm all up in their business.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I'm going to be in your business. Like, you're going to get it.
And that's how it should be. That's exactly how it should be. And I wish more parents understood that. I mean, I would much rather be the parent than your friend and save your life and potentially save you from being trafficked or pimped out. And we see that all the time. Becky, you're in Jersey. I'm in California. And California, I mean, and everywhere in the United States, we see it. But there's a lot of prominent areas where that happens.
Well,
and it's very scary.
Orange County is the biggest trafficking hub of all of California.
Wow.
Wow.
We have those huge shipping areas. We have Long Beach. We have all of that stuff. But everyone wants to pretend like it's not happening because they're like, oh, well, we don't see, missing posters and we don't see milk cartons anymore. So it just must not be happening. I'm like, there's not enough milk cartons in the world for how many children have gone missing. We need to
Yes.
like casting this, oh, well, I want to prove it wrong. Like, what if it's right? Like, what is the potential of you just believing it and doing all you can to keep it from happening?
Yes.
That's a good one. And it's true. And we as parents, like you said, we have to be aware of everything, what our children are listening to, what they're watching, because everything everything they listen, even us as adults, everything influences us and influence our behavior. So sometimes even music or any program or anything, even a friend will influence you to be more aggressive or to be more any other behavior that you're not used to see your child into. And that's what we need to be aware of. And that is a good example of, your children don't need privacy. At least not until, they are out of your house.
Yeah. Well, and they can have their private time, but they will not have private presence. So many parents lose the idea of what a social presence really does bring. Your child, even being on social media, which I think is ridiculous. Unless you're like 14 and above, you shouldn't even have any kind of social media. I've created one for my boys. It's on private and I do everything on it. They don't even know what I post. Like, I try to talk like a little kid when I post it. I'm like, we had fun. Like, I don't want to be like Birdie. And I'm like, we had fun swimming today with our best friend. And I'm like, but there's no reason for you not to be aware of every single thing. The crazy thing is your child could be posting about, oh, I went to school today. A post about where their school is. Bam, that predator knows.
Even your house.
Your house. Oh my gosh. They could be at the park in your neighborhood. All of a sudden, that predator knows. Or talking about their age, or talking about how many siblings they have, or, like thinking it's funny. Oh yeah, my mom and dad went to dinner and I'm like taking care of my sibling. Stop letting your children divulge all of this information about them.
Yes.
And no one really pays attention. Like, their kids are bored and they're like, oh, here I am. My parents aren't here, so I'm making myself dinner, blah, blah, blah.
That is such a good point.
The kid goes to school, but it's telling them everything they need to know about your parents being gone and letting you stay home alone.
My mom, it's funny that you mentioned that, because my mom, I mean, it was back when MySpace first came out, but my mom would say, never ever post when you're home alone, never post that we're leaving on vacation, or anything of that nature, because 9 times out of 10 people who, once again, prey upon your home and your loved ones are people that you know and who follow you. And so thank God she always had the good sense to teach me that and to be street smart and very aware. And I think that's important too, is having a child be aware of their surroundings and those telltale signs that someone is not necessarily in their best interest. And that includes loved ones. If there's a loved one, that is soft grooming or makes you feel uncomfortable, having the ability to be vocal about it.
Yes. And we have to make sure that they know the difference between good touch and bad touch. That starts at a very young age. And we need to be vigilant as parents, teaching the difference between good touch and bad touch, no matter what.
Yes. And to add to the Facebook thing, there are these group challenges into which you tag somebody and you have to say, how old would you be when your child be such age, or how is your husband, or how is your girlfriend, or there's so many games or challenges that people is using now to know your life, and people just fall into it just to go along with the game or with the challenge, when at the end you're just giving away all your personal information.
Well, and that's how Facebook, I mean, it really, sadly, Facebook was created that way. created for you to divulge really pertinent information about yourself, where you live, where you have lived, what kind of people you like, what kind of people you hang around with. These, I mean, who cares if you're like what kind of superhero you're going to be? But Facebook using these questions to put people into your life, to put friend requests into your life, put things that, you know, may make you, you know, feel suitable to you. But it's not. It's a way of taking away your walls and keeping our walls up. I'm sorry, unless I know you personally and I would invite you into my home, you will never talk to my child and you'll never be near my child.
Yes.
That's the thing, is that parents get so complacent, you know, even in public spaces. We're at a restaurant or whatever. And, you know, we used to go to a sushi restaurant, and when the boys were really young, did I already speak about that? So, we used to go to a sushi restaurant, and this, you know, older lady would always be really touchy and like made me really uncomfortable as an adult. And when I first started dating Tito, I was like, I don't want to go back to that restaurant. That lady is so touchy with the boys. It makes me uncomfortable. And he's like, oh, you know, she's nice. She's like, you know, grandma. And I'm like, yeah, we need to stop saying that to our kids. Like, she's not your grandma. We don't know her. She may be nice and she may, you know, not have bad intentions, but we're teaching our child that it's okay that a stranger is petting them and hugging them and kissing them. It's not okay.
Yeah, no, when it comes to me, I'm mama bear. So if you even get within a few feet of my child, there's boundaries. I'm like, get away from my daughter.
You have to be.
Absolutely. Because once that innocence is taken, it is so hard. And I've had family members where that has happened to, and it's a very slippery slope downhill from there. And it is very scary as a parent. So how can people follow your foundation? Is there anything that they can donate to? Because this is something that I am so passionate about, human trafficking. When they finally started bringing it mainstream, I was so glad, because it has been too long not talked about. So how can we donate anything to do with your foundation?
Get involved, volunteer.
Get involved, yes.
Please. So I am actually creating SOC teams, which are called Save Our Children teams, all over the United States, I'm hoping. And we'll have like a welcome package for the groups, and you only have to have 4 to 5 people in your group, and you'll be demonstrating with us when we have national demonstrations. I want to be out, I want to be loud, and I want people to talk about it. Until the media starts dealing with it on a real level, we need to talk about it, because our neighbors are not talking about it. But you can go to my foundation. It's thesocialfoundation.org. And I'm like, do I type it in? I'm like,
no.
You have it right there.
Our amazing producer, Noe, he's gonna display it.
So, and my Instagram for the social foundation is the.social.foundation. I also have Save Our Children Initiative. I've been shadow banned super bad on Facebook and Instagram, so you might not find me. You're gonna have to search, because I use the hashtag Save Our Children, and they've now banned that, saying that they want to only, they'll send you straight to Facebook to find what they say is valid Save Our Children foundations. And Save the Children Foundation, which was started a long time ago, I think in the 80s, and it's actually Ghislaine Maxwell was their head person, and she brought that to Disney. It's also funded by the Clinton Foundation and the Gates Foundation. So if Facebook wants to send me there, I'm just letting people know, don't follow what they're telling you. We are the real fighters. We are the people up in the front lines. So if you want to help and help donate so that I can do more seminars, please go to thesocialfoundation.org. And I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate you beautiful girls for having me.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. One last thing.
Yes.
Tito.
Yes.
He is running in Huntington Beach. Let's end this on a power note, on a positive note, please. I have to know what's going on with Tito. How can we in California support him? And what
he's running for City Council of Huntington Beach, and you know, he just wanted to make an actual difference. And people were like, why don't you be the mayor? Well, the mayor doesn't get to make the decisions that City Council does. It's a huge honor that people were like, backing him. They're behind him 100%. I'm actually supposed to be at a party, but I wanted to be on here first. So I was like, I don't care.
Yes.
But if you can support him in any way, you can go to Tito4HBCC for City Council, Tito4HBCC.com, and you can support him by also, contributing to his campaign to get him elected, and then for him to make a difference. Because you know what, it takes one at a time. It takes one person at a time that wants to make a difference, that has no special interest, who's not taking money under the table, that truly cares about our city, about our kids, about our school district, about our community. And we need more of those. We need people in every city to stand up and take a position of importance, because it really does make a difference, and everyone needs to get out there and vote. I'm telling you, you walk in, you vote in person, because it's important and your vote makes a difference.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Amber. This has been an honor. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're supposed to be at an event with Tito, and you're here with us.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much
We
for
are
this.
so thankful.
Thank you.
God bless you.
You're amazing.
We'll continue to pray for you for this movement that you just started with saving our children.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's the only movement I care about, truly.
Amen.
God bless
Absolutely.
you.
God bless you and Tito. Have a great night.
I will. Thank you so much.